So the process we use to extract this mineral is called froth flotation. Like I said, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration, and I'm going to take you through it. So the muck would come in, top of this building, and it would need to be crushed before it was ready for froth flotation. It would go down a series of crushing levels until it got to the grinding ball mills, which was the last stage of crushing. First picture here up on your left, that's the grinding ball mill. Inside of those, you have steel balls like this one. They're rolling around until you're left with a fine sand, which is then called the fines, and it's in this first box right here. We're now almost ready for froth flotation, but we're going to mix those fines with a couple ingredients first. One of them would be water. You also need to add in a frothing agent. I'm just using dish soap, or back then I'd often use pine oil. And you need to mix in a waterproofing chemical. So just bear with me, I'm going to give mine a quick stir here. Now, what this waterproofing chemical does is it coats that chalcopyrite only and not the waste rock. And it basically makes the mineral scared of water. So when you start pumping air into the cell, like I'm doing now, that chalcopyrite, easiest route out of that water is to stick to those air bubbles. It then gets lifted up to the surface and out of the cell. You guys can see in the photo, they look quite large. While the waste rock settles at the bottom and gets left behind. And that's how we're able to separate the two. It's kind of like a giant bubble bath for minerals in a sense. These bubbles would be extracted. You guys can see they're very gray and kind of dirty looking. That's that chalcopyrite. And you'll see all that's left behind. Some of these guys are. Is that really fine, sparkly black sand? So that's that chalcopyrite. We've separated it from the waste rock, but at this stage of the game, it's too wet and soupy to do anything with. These would be in huge holding tanks called thickeners, which are on the platforms right here behind me. We would have to put this through a dryer, which is the last photo you see up there on the right. You pour that soupy sand over top of it. It's actually kind of like a vacuum, and it sucks out the water through the mesh. And you're left with copper concentrate, which is in this middle box right here. This was the last thing to actually come out of the tiny mine. It would be shipped off to a smelter, and that's where you'd melt it down, and you can extract your pure copper from it. Can you guys give me a few examples of what we use copper for today? Like, oh no, you're making me think. Yeah, go ahead.
Batteries.
Batteries, they're in batteries, absolutely. What else? Electronics, someone said. Pennies, I mean, not so much anymore, but absolutely. Yeah. Is that what you were going to say? No, what? Wires, that's right. Pots and pans, metal roofs. One more.
They're used in this mine.
Well, we found it in this mine. Yes, exactly.
But you also used it for things in the mine too.
Ah, yes, we did. Yuki is right. Absolutely did. And the cool thing, you guys, is that with copper, it is recyclable. So some of the stuff that we use today very well could have come out of Britannia when it was in operation. We produced about 17% of the world's copper back then, so it's significant. Now, I mentioned to you, we also found lead, zinc, and cadmium here. We would float those out with froth flotation just like that chalcopyrite. The gold and silver, however, was a little bit different, and we actually extracted those out of the tailings, or the waste rock left behind, which they look like this over here. Just like gold panning, except they use huge wool blankets. You shake that waste rock